Here's some honest advice if you're a student looking for a job. What's up guys, it's Mike from Job Ready English, here with a little bit of a different video for you today. I just want to share my experience. Over the last 9 years, I've spoken to almost 50,000 students, a lot of them from abroad. And of course, I think now on YouTube, we've been watched over 500,000 times, and we get loads of comments and emails and messages all the time. And I felt like now was a really good time just to give some honest advice if you're a student looking for a job. Now, this could be you're a master's student, you're a first year, second year, third year student, MBA, whatever it is that you're doing. I just want to speak to you personally and give you some honest advice based upon my experience. First of all, start with the end in mind. So a lot of students, when they set out to look for a job, they don't actually know what it is that they want to do. Or if they do know what they want to do, they actually don't know if that's realistic. Now, we talk about this in the 7 Steps to Get Hired book, which is like the law of supply and demand. For example, I can remember being phoned by a student who'd studied library studies. He said, I really want to get a job in a library. And I was like, well, is there a strong demand for that? And they said, well, I don't know. I said, well, when you go to Indeed and you type in library studies graduate or library assistant graduate, how many jobs come up? And he was like, oh, like 7. I was like, 7 in the whole of the UK. And he said, yeah. I was like, dude, you need to look for a different job. Now, of course, we all have things that we want to do and that we don't want to do, and follow your passion, live your dream. I understand all of that. But also you need to go where the jobs are. You need to go where the demand is. Particularly post-COVID, in the UK that tends to be financial, professional services, banking, engineering. These are high demand jobs, and you need to think, well, how can if I am a first year watching this video, what are the skills that I can learn that are really going to leverage me to allow me to be good at those jobs when I apply in the third year? That might be learning a coding language, might be learning a different language for you to speak. It might be you just getting out of your comfort zone, which really leads me to my next point. Sitting at home in your room applying for a job is probably not going to be enough for you to get a job. So I was speaking to a client of ours today, and she shared about how she keeps making the same mistakes and feels very nervous doing interviews. And I'll share a bit of advice that I gave to her. Very often I will get clients to go to random meetups, like Dungeons and Dragons meetups or book club or a wine tasting session. Why? Because we need to engage in a dynamic social environment. Now, if you're watching this and you're an introvert, you're like, oh my God, how I can do that? Well, there are steps that you can go through to do that. At some point, you have to get uncomfortable. You have to push through your discomfort zone. And it's really important for you to know your weakness. And for most students, it's just social anxiety. It's just really struggling to have conversations with people because we're always glued to our phones or a screen or a book or sitting in a lecture and making notes, but we're not really engaging with people outside of our comfort zone. I mean, sure, you might be one of those students who goes out on a weekend and has a beer and is highly sociable, but if you were anything like I was at university, you're probably locked in a room somewhere or locked in a library. And what that means is that you kind of lose the ability to communicate authentically and naturally, and that makes you super awkward when it comes to interviews, face-to-face, assessment centres. But there is a way that you can future-proof that process, which is commit to doing something that is mildly sociable. Commit to doing something random. Commit to asking difficult questions, like if you struggle with rejection. A video that I watched years ago of Tim Ferriss, they'd say, well, why don't you go to a coffee shop and ask for a discount? You need to force yourself to be uncomfortable. If you're constantly walking around and you're plugged in, whether that be with earbuds, on your phone, and you don't really engage with anybody who you don't want to engage with, and when you all of a sudden come across a stranger and you have to do an interview or you have to do it face to face, I mean, I've seen students just literally sweating buckets when they come up to this stuff. So, law of supply and demand, being prepared, having uncomfortable conversations, start early. So if you're watching this and you're just starting your course, you're just getting ready, a degree is not going to get you a job. By now, most students will already know that. Just because you get to the end of your degree does not give you any guarantee of a job. There are over 2.5 million graduates in the UK every year. So that's a lot of competition. What that means is that how do you stay ahead of the competition? You start early, which means that when you land at university, you can start applying for jobs, you can start learning how to apply, you could get your CV done, start figuring out how to write cover letters, start practicing for interviews, you could start using your university career services, you could buy products, for example, down in the description below, there's a link to our store. There's loads of stuff that you can do. You can start to practice. It doesn't matter if I decide to do a marathon tomorrow, I still need to practice. I still need to put in the work. I'm not going to outcompete somebody who's been preparing for the marathon for the last 4 months, 6 months. It doesn't matter if I'm smarter than them, if I'm more talented, if I'm more sociable, if I'm more extroverted. The chances are, if I'm less prepared, that other candidate is going to win. So start early, and the way that you do that is just compartmentalize little chunks of time. That could be 30 minutes at the weekend. I always diarise my time, because if it's actually in the diary, then it's going to get done. Otherwise, it's just not going to get done if I think I'll do it tomorrow. A little bit of organisation goes a long way, because it sets constraints on the day and it tells me what I need to be doing, and then once that's done, then I can go and do, you know, fun stuff, cool stuff, things that I want to do, engage in my hobbies, all that sort of thing. The other thing is to recognise that rejection is part of the process, but you can go and seek rejection in higher quality places. Stop one-click applying on LinkedIn and Indeed. If you have genuinely gotten a job from one-click applying on LinkedIn and Indeed, please let me know in the comments below, because I'm yet to speak to anybody who's had that. What I tend to find is that this is a high volume exercise, which makes us feel a little bit better about ourselves, but actually gives very poor results and absolutely crushes our self-esteem in the long run. There is nothing more depressing. I can remember being 22, 23, I'd lost a job, and I used to use Indeed to apply for jobs. You know, I wasn't that long, came out of university, got my first job, and then I got fired from that job, and I was looking for a job, and it was soul destroying. You know, just sitting there day after day applying for 10, 20, 30, 50 jobs, and just not hearing back. I mean, no one even replied to me. And I remember that feeling, which is why I always, you know, go and, you know, do your research, write out the companies that you want to apply to, write out the vacancies that you like, give links to their internal jobs boards. You can go and click and apply for the vacancies through the companies directly themselves. Put the time into producing higher quality applications. There's no point in sitting there and rushing out a load of dud cover letters which just say, Dear X, I really want to work at your company, and then you just send the same crap over and over again. No one's going to respond to you, because it's not personalised. Because the thing is, the final thing that I want to leave you with is that if you're watching this video and you're frustrated, you're like, nothing's working. Nothing changes if nothing changes. If what you're doing isn't working, generally the solution isn't doing more. The solution is stopping, figuring out what is working, and generally, in my opinion, going and finding someone who's getting the result that you want, and then paying them, or at the very least observing them and trying to figure out how it is that they're getting that result. Guys, I hope that you enjoyed this video. I realise it was a little bit different, but after a lot of emails and messages and speaking to a few of our one-to-one clients today, I was really moved to share that message with you. I hope that it helps. Make sure to check out, if you want to learn from an expert, any of our products down below, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.